The beginning of this year is when I finally took my dive into the Final Fantasy XIII games, though technically the end of last year and going into this year, but whatever. And I guess I have varying opinions across the board. I ended up playing them back to back, which I didn't really intend, but these games are so inexpensive that I just grabbed one right after the other, so why not? I'm not gonna go in depth or anything, just some general thoughts overall. And with Final Fantasy XIII, I liked it enough. The linearity didn't really bother me at all like it seemed to have with some people. I was somewhat able to have a grasp on the story overall, at least for the beginning parts. It helped to have the manual to see what was going on. The thing that sort of bugged me was how in the first 20 or so hours, the story would break up and switch between characters. And too often during these character segments, the story will break off and leave on a cliffhanger-ish note, and then I'm forced to play as characters that I don't exactly care as much about in comparison. Whatever. And actually, I'll just use this moment to give my takeaways on the main characters. Fang is cool. Moving on. I really like the moments with Saz and Vanille. Saz because he's basically a guy who just kinda got caught up in all this mess, and Vanille is hiding the fact that she's the reason that Saz was caught up in this mess, and I don't know, it was a very interesting storyline. I just wish Vanille would calm down.
Glad that's over.
Lightning is the main protagonist of Final Fantasy XIII. Okay, I'm being dumb. She's fine, I'm just kind of whatever about the whole emotionless angle thing that they had going on with her. Though I did like her growth during the game, like mainly her warming up to Hope and Snow and all that. Unfortunately, that was sort of diluted with Lightning Returns. There's reason for that technically, but it doesn't change the fact that for most of the game she's just a drywall. Snow didn't really leave that big of an impression on me. I've noticed that with just about every mainline Final Fantasy that I've played, there's always that one character that I just don't care to use at all. And for this game, that was Snow. Firstly, I just think him attacking with his fists is dumb. But I don't know, I get his angle of being this overly optimistic guy to a fault, but it just didn't really do anything for me. Hope. Oh man, Hope S-Time. You know, for a series of games, I wouldn't have thought that I would have gone from not really liking a character in Game 1, actually really liking him in Game 2, and then just outright hating his guts in Game 3. Might as well get into this now. One of the things that I hated in Lightning Returns was that they made Hope a freaking radio buddy.
The Order has locked the area down. Looks like you're stuck there until they've made progress in the investigation. That's vital information. Good work, Light. The Order operates the regional transportation system.
So in a way, it's not really Hope's fault, but god, it was just so freaking annoying for him to have something to say every single time. And what's really stupid is that this is a game where every second counts, and I'm someone that actually likes to listen to character banter as it's going on in game. Like if characters are talking during gameplay, then I'd want to wait and see what they have to say, otherwise it might get cut out if I go somewhere too fast or something, which has happened various times in this game. So it was just baffling for them to do that with Hope in this game. If not for that, then hey, he'd be pretty alright. But no. Grand Pulse and Cocoon. At least conceptually, this might be one of the coolest things I've seen done in a video game. With this artificial planet that's all like societal and high tech, which is overlooking this main planet that's gone primordial. It is a shame though that Cocoon just basically becomes a backdrop in Game 2 and 3. Actually, it's a bit funny that a lot of elements that was introduced in 13 really get downplayed in 13.2 and Lightning Returns. Or just flat out isn't even mentioned anymore. Like the first thing that comes to my mind is Psycom. Not an element at all in 13.2 and Lightning Returns. And just to quickly touch on the battle system, I would like it more if characters didn't react in real time. A good example of what I mean is, say if you have Lightning set to slash an enemy repeatedly for her entire turn. If that enemy backs off and Lightning still slashes but misses, then yeah, that's it. Like the only reason that she misses is because of the animation of the enemy backing off. It'd be one thing if it was like a timing thing, but it just seems to happen whenever in real time, which is so stupid. It's kind of kept in 13.2 and Lightning Returns, but it isn't as big of an annoyance as it was in the original 13. And the last annoyance are the Eidolon battles, which suck because you're basically destined to die every single time, because it's like a trial and error thing. You have to figure out what it is that they're weak against, and then use that to fill up a little meter, and then you win the battle. They cast death upon you, so your battles are timed, but you're not going to figure out what their weakness is and fill up the Gestalt meter in the given time that you have. So you just gotta try and try again until you're able to exploit their weakness fast enough to win. And it just sucks. It's just, why did they think that was a good idea? Although the way that these guys work in this game is kind of funny. It's so similar to Persona. Okay, so how about 13-2, where now we have just Sarah and another character named Noel as our main protagonists. 13-2, I have a like-dislike relationship with it, is what I can say. In some ways I like it more than 13, like I really enjoyed the first initial story progression of the first half of the game, but where it begins to fall apart is the freaking artifacts. In this game you're jumping through different time periods and locations, but the gates are locked, and the way you unlock them is by finding an artifact on a previous time that you've been through. For the most part, the story directs you to find the needed artifact to unlock the next story point, but sometimes it doesn't. Oh no, what it does instead is ask you to scavenge the last places you've been to find the needed artifact to unlock the next story point. Does it tell you where the artifacts are? No. Does it give you a hint to where you can find them? Not really. Is there anything on your map or radar to show you where the next necessary artifact would be? Hell no. Yeah, this means that the game occasionally becomes an item hunt just so you could actually progress through the story. And that's really what annoyed me about this game, because it means that I had to resort to looking up a walkthrough to find what I needed. Also, I don't know what the hell's up with this story. It's Lightning getting launched into a different space-time place, and Sarah's the only one that remembers the actual ending of 13. So, you know, gotta go out and find a way to bring her back. Oh, Square, you silly billies. If it weren't for the item hunting aspect, I could probably say I like this more than 13. But it does, so I'm just gonna stay mixed on it. And with this, I had no idea what to expect with Lightning Returns. So imagine my surprise when I come to realize that, holy crap, I actually really love this game. And what's the plot of Lightning Returns? Freaking God himself asks you to become Jesus and save everyone's souls for an arc before the apocalypse happens. Do you guys remember how freaking happy 13's ending was? It was bittersweet, sure, but everyone was smiling and celebrating, and now the world is on fire. Okay, so why did I like Lightning Returns? Well, I think first off is its structure, because it's like very almost open world-ish, or I guess I should say more so open zone, in which you can go anywhere and basically do almost anything at any given point. Like, you could be doing the main story segments in one area, then just completely flip to another area and just start that story segment. There's also the time mechanic thing, which I really didn't mind. In fact, the only problem I had with it was what I said earlier about Hope just rambling on about stupid annoying stuff. And it's like, dude, I'm freaking timed on this whole ass game, will you just shut up for a second? But yeah, it's like the freedom of being in any area and, you know, just following the story or doing the side quests, which are a huge deal in this game because you have to collect souls. And really also just exploring around these places, because these are some big areas. I mean, there's only 4 main areas, but there was plenty to do in each of them. And the combat's also pretty cool with the skimtas. Where do they come up with these terms? Which is, you got 3 outfits, and you can mix and match whatever abilities you want for the face buttons for each set. Heck, the whole outfits idea is just fun. It's like we're making Lightning a dress-up doll. The obvious comparison to this game is Majora's Mask, except instead of like the same 3-day cycle looping, you got 13 days, and it's like just a straight shot. You gotta do what you can and make the most out of the time that you're given. Technically you start off with 5 days, but it's like the more story stuff or side quests you do, the more days that you're given. And at least for me personally, I kind of did what I need to do by day 9, or maybe day 10. So I still had, you know, a few other days to spare. There is a bit of a problem in that, like, if you don't manage to do what you're supposed to by a certain time, then you just kind of neuter your own save file and you have to start all over. But there is a pretty easy solution to work around that. Just don't fuck up. The music is also phenomenal, and that's the same across the board. Like, all of these games have fantastic soundtracks. It was also really cool to see the 13 crew, but in different roles this time. I think the only major new character in this game is Lumina, who, like, throughout the game is really hard to pin down as to whether she's an ally or an enemy. Like, legit, she would flat out attack you in one scene, then in another she would try her earnest to help you out. She's definitely one of the most trickster-ish kind of characters that I've seen. So all in all, 13 and 13-2, I feel okay to like maybe kind of mixed on. Lightning Returns I just think was amazing. It really shot up for me as being a top 5 Final Fantasy game, if we're including these spin-off sequel-ish stuff, I don't know. A very weird bag this 13 trilogy was, but it's one that I'm finally glad I got to nonetheless, even if the main payoff was Lightning Returns. And that about covers what I want to say about these games for now. So thanks for watching, and until next time.